Next up at number 18 is Colorful. Before people start going nuts thinking I'm liking a EG title, think again. This has nothing to do with the late 90s EG crap fest idol that you might be thinking of. This is based. The choice I'm referring to is of a film from 2010 focused around a teenager, focused around a spirit who's getting a second chance at life by taking on the body of a teenager who attempted suicide and learning of the complicated life that the teen had experienced, which led up to his decision to commit suicide. This movie isn't afraid of depicting how harsh life can be. It deals with it does explore some touchy social issues that you would expect in Japan, such as infidelity, parental neglect, compensated dating, bullying. Yeah, despite how touchy it is, it also passes along an encouraging message that despite how harsh life can be, there's still positive aspects to it that make life worth living in general. The main lead for the movie, Makoto, can be tough to connect with at first because he tends to be a bit of a hard ass in regards to what he learns about his family's life, but considering that basically he found everybody around him was not as they would seem on the surface, you get to understand why he's lashing out at everybody in general. It is decently animated, has a solid soundtrack, and very encouraging message for anyone that thinks that has their own personal issues with life in general. So if you're looking for an encouraging movie to check out, then you can't go wrong with Colorful. Next up at number 17 is Planetes. This is quite an interesting sci-fi title to look into. It takes place in the near future, focused on the efforts of a space debris branch whose main task is to clean up the leftover pollution in space coming from humanity's earlier efforts in colonizing space, cleaning up anything such as satellites that no longer function, debris from destroyed spaceships, anything of the sort. Even though it's a science fiction title, the series does believably paint some interesting subjects related to issues that can come up if man were to eventually settle in space, such as, well, besides the mentioned space pollution, it also explores diseases that can come up for the human body from when they settle in space. Vote and protests and terrorism coming from those opposed to humanity making use of natural resources in space. This causes unemployment to surge on Earth itself. It also features some solid character development focused on the male lead for the series, Hajimaki, trying to figure out what he wants to do for himself besides being a space debris garbage man in general. And the visuals are quite pleasing in the eye, and the animation does believably depict the actual physics of moving about in space, whether you're the feature characters picking up space debris while in space astronaut outfits, or they're walking about in low gravity settings on the moon, since the world of Planetes has at this point already colonized the moon. And it's actually a rather interesting sci-fi anime to check out, which is still quite grounded to how things could take place in the near future if humanity eventually chooses to sail into space. So if you're looking for a good sci-fi title, you can't go wrong with Planetes. Next up at number 16 is Summer Wars. This is focused on a high school boy named Kenji, who is an administrator on the computer network known as Oz, who winds up tagging along with his upperclassman and possible crush, Natsuki, to her family reunion of sorts with the entire Genosuke family, and she tries to pass him along as her boyfriend and potential fiance. Kenji accidentally releases a computer virus called the Love Machine onto Oz, which completely wrecks the network and affects some pretty messed up problems involving technology on reality. And eventually Kenji and the Genosuke family find themselves bonding and coming together to halt the advances of Love Machine. This is a pretty solid family film to get into, while also addressing some social commentary regarding the negatives of man's reliance on technology as one potential virus or hacking incident could potentially screw us all up if we're not careful. And it also discusses family unity. The movie has a very likable cast of characters within the Genosuke family, and they're also decently flushed out. It also focuses on family bonding in general, even coming back together during tough times, as there is a story element concerning one of the Genosuke family members who became an outcast because of his investment in American technology. And yes, this is another movie that depicts the Americans in a horrible light as you would expect from the Japanese. The animation highlight for this movie comes from whenever you see the Network of Oz. There's a lot of animated content to take in, such as the avatars from the various characters, whether on Oz or any programs that are being initiated. There's also some very fluid animated sequences, such as fights and games against the Love Machine, and it basically has a similar art style as what you would see from the Growing Up Through Time, because this is the same studio and director who are doing this movie as they did on the Growing Up Through Time. So if you're looking for a good family film, or you did enjoy the Growing Up Through Time, then Summer Wars would be a definite watch for you. Next up at number 15 is Denim Coil. Those of you who regularly see my videos, you very likely seen me talk of the dickens out of this TV series from 2007 in my 3 countdowns for anime titles I wanted to see get licensed. But for those that don't know about the series, it was highly praised in 2007, won several awards. It's focused on a near future society where augmented reality where world of where the internet and reality have clashed together into a blurred reality of sorts through these goggles that people wear called deno glasses, which allow them to interact with any virtual beings that they see through the goggles. And it focuses on the efforts of this group of kids that form their own detective agency to solve various phenomena connected to the virtual world in which they see through the deno glasses. And when they come to realize that trouble is brewing involving the company that responsible for maintaining the network seen through the deno glasses, and this involves a mysterious virtual being called Michiko-san that someone within the company is potentially trying to bring back. The series does feature a likable cast, and it does feature with the characters coming to age is basically elementary kids are the main focus of this series, but despite it seeming like a children's series, it does get quite complex in its plot as we come to learn more about the parties responsible for letting loose with their corrupt activity on the computer network that the kids normally mingle in. And while the animation is not too impressive, the animated effects coming from the use of the augmented reality that the kids interact with the deno glasses is the main highlight for the series in general. Next up at number 14 is Millennium Actress. This is the second Satoshi Kon movie to make my countdown. Movie is basically focused on this documentary writer who meets up with this retired actress as he tries to figure out everything that led up to her, that went on in her life up to the point in which the film took place. The movie's quite notable for blurring the present and past experience of the characters, as you can see the documentary writer getting immersed in the various flashbacks of the retired actress as she recalls her days when she was younger and then when she started up her acting career, which is a pretty unique narrative style that you can expect. As you can expect with the artwork for a Satoshi Kon film, the character designs and scenery are drawn in very realistic detail. This is probably the most powerful anime drama-wise that you can check out from Satoshi Kon.